Hey, kids. What's up, potatoes? What's up, you big fucking birds? What did I get? I got 6 seconds in this time. Great. What up, fam? What up, fam? Says Lily Lore. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Are you wet? And I mean that in the strictest of weather terms. Imagine me as Lally. Are you wet? Was the snow wet? Was it cold? Hello, La Mom James. I am wait. I saw a post that said there was a limit of 2 briskets per person from HEB only in Texas. Oh my God. They would limit brisket at a time like this. This is very interesting that you brought this up, Mom James. I don't know if you're here anymore. I know you were going to bed. You're going to catch it on the replay crew. But when you do, you should know Texas is like the only place that I can think of where during inclement weather, they limit alcohol and barbecue. And that included COVID. They were limiting things like meat, toilet paper, and booze. They might have even closed a lot of booze places. And then they were like, well, we have to get around this. There's too many alcoholics in Texas. How are we going to get around this? So they said booze delivery was okay for a while. And now I think it's totally okay. Hello, Nicolette. Hello, Bree. Thank you so much. Shout outs to your sister, Bree. I accidentally scheduled this for tomorrow instead of tonight. Hence the late start. I'm sorry for that. Hello, Shiraz. Hope we have electricity in 24 hours or we're going to be pissed. Yeah, me too. Especially because also they limit our electric in times of freaking out. And even when it's not like overwhelming the grid, they'll just shut us the fuck off. They'll just end it because they're like, just in case, you don't need to get, you kids are getting too spoiled now with your electricity. We've had so many occasions where it's just a light rain or slightly cold, and then all of our food rots because Texas freaks out. It's really the pits. I always tell people don't move here, not because we don't want you to, but because you're going to freak out when you realize how little they give a fuck about electricity. What's up, Melly and Lily Lore? Hello again. Hello, Melanie from Waco. Woohoo! What's going on there? My neighbor's daughter's in Waco, and we were just talking about it. She said it was really creepy weather outside. By the way, for those of you who haven't been to Texas, once you get to middle of Texas, they say Austin's the middle, but really it's kind of Waco. Waco Temple, all the way up to North Texas, Tornado Alley. It is creepy. There are tornadoes. There are wildfires. When I lived up there, it was terrifying when the sirens would go off. It was insane. What's up on the mic? Good evening. Hey, I got your lovely message on the mic. You commented or you left me a message. I think maybe you emailed me. It was all a blur last night. Your dad had too many clearlies. Actually, your dad was just really exhausted. I took too many. I had been doing dad naps instead of full night sleeps for a couple of days because school's been reckless. The weather's been fucking terrible. It's been way too hot to go outside. Everything's been awful, and now it's all rainy. And my work was swamped. I took on too much, you know? And then last night I'd been watching too much YouTube, if you can imagine. And your dad had passionate feelings last night and said things about people that he doesn't really regret. I feel like I was hard on some people, but listen, I'm getting tired of the bullshit on YouTube. It's pissing me off. And I got your lovely message and I appreciate you, Mike. You're the best. YouTube Princess Mish. Hello, everybody. Hello, Trendy Views. It was beautiful in Southern Indiana. That's good because Indiana deserves some good news. I feel like every time I see Indiana on the news, it's something bad. Y'all deserve some good news. Hello, Michelle. Hello, family. I like how we've gone from cult to coven to family. It's all the same, right? What if we call ourselves a gang? Just so we can feel a little hard. We can come up with a sign. Let's not do that. That never ends well. Hello, Melly. Hello, Brian and Jill. Hello. And I think did you say it's always Brian or always Jill? Remind me so that I can call you by your regular name and not as two people. I can't hear anything yet, but I'm reading the messages. Sorry, Dad. I have to wait till the other fam disconnects. Totally understandable. I'd like to get it to where there's, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Closed captioning on the lives, but I don't even know if they do that. Do they? Do I need to like watch my vocabulary and not use slang? If so, very curious about these things. Not good to lose your yeah, definitely not. And then there's a tenant law here, something that has to do with it's built into all the Texas apartment contracts, but also when it comes to landlords in general, every city's a little bit different. But the way it works, according to, TREC, which is Texas Real Estate Commission, and the Texas Apartment Association, if you have weather of over like 94 degrees, it might be 96. I don't remember the exact, but it's in the 90s. If it's that hot and somebody's AC goes out, you're required to fix it within 24 hours, but nobody does that. And the amount of apartments that have been on the news, including, remember during the Savannah Soto thing when we were, when her and baby Fabian and Matthew Guerra were murdered. I've been working on my R's, by the way. When that happened, remember all of the apartment complexes on that one specific road? I went through all of them and showed you how there's a lot of issues there. One of the biggest ones is people going without an air conditioner for years at sometimes, and that's a breach of the lease. And so then when they sue the landlord says, well, you're on a voucher system and automatically wins, which is bullshit. Like, it shouldn't be that way. But the amount of mold problems, pipe problems because of the old ass pipes bursting and landlords not fixing ACs here is incredible. So many people go through hell. I mean, months, but they have to get the news involved just to get their fucking ACs fixed. But they won't let you replace them because there's a chattel law here, which basically says chattel is basically anything that you add on to a place. So that includes, and if you live in Texas, be very careful, because when I worked in real estate building a database for the last like 3, all during COVID. And I learned so much. I almost got my real estate license and then I just stopped at the last minute. I was like, I do not want to fucking be in this industry. But I will tell you this, they read the fine print, because if it says chattel, that is referring to basically anything that you add on, which includes when you mount your TV, that mount on the wall, if you put in a window unit, AC, if you add a fixture, and usually fixtures are on their own, but no. Anything that you add on to an apartment that you're renting from or a house now becomes the property of your landlord. You have to be very careful with that here. So that's why people don't get their own AC, because you're not going to get payment back and you're likely just giving it away. So it's it's so bad. And it's been so hot and so wet. And it's just, oof. Yeah, this hurricane, I like the wind though, Melanie. Good point. I love the wind. I love it. I'm loving that. I love the rain. So for me, this is great, but it's hot rain and that's not fun. Yes, you made a live, Cindy. Hello. And hello, Thunderhorse. And hello, Rachel. Buongiorno, Dad. Hello. Shouldn't you say Papa? Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you again. Hello, Carrie Svensson. You finally made it, Carrie Svensson. I'm so happy for you. Welcome. Welcome, Tea and Wildflowers. It's all good, Dad, says Mike. Thank you, Mike. You're the best. Hey, girl, this last week I couldn't find ribs to barbecue. I was so pissed off. Now I know one good thing from Texas. Yeah, I mean, listen, we got plenty of ribs. We got pork out the fucking asshole. We got so much fucking pork. It's crazy. But when it comes to beef, there are limits. In fact, some of the craziest videos I've seen on YouTube of people robbing places, not just during the pandemic, but after, were people just stealing fucking shopping carts full of meat. It's really crazy. Hello, Thunderhorse. Hello, Techbird. Hello, everybody. Gang, 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 gang. Long Island was a baked potato today. Was it really hot there? I mean, I would say at least you'll have the beach, but when I went to Long Island, I mean, we were like Brooklyn going down near Long Island. I think we were in Long Island. I don't know, but the beach is kind of far from the center of it, isn't it? So is it like I'd imagine it's a wet heat, but I don't know. I remember when I was in Seattle, everybody was really, I think I talked about this the other day, they were really upset it was 82 degrees. And it felt, honestly, now that I think back, it did feel like 90, but you know, it was a lot colder. Was I spitting facts? I hope so. I know some of you, not just one person. I got one email. It was very sweet. Poor girl. I bless her heart in a good way. Love her to death. Someone who listens, and then a couple of more of you message, and y'all were like, "I'm so sorry. I used to watch this person." Listen, you can still watch these people. If I bitch about someone, that doesn't mean I'm not reflecting on you. Okay, if I'm talking shit about, like, you know, old pubes or old JLR or any of those fuckers, that's just me projecting my hate on them. Like, not even real hate, like just like hate for how they operate. It pisses me off. But if you listen to those people, that's not you. I know it's confusing. It's kind of a mind fuck. And it's like, well, I watch it. So are you shitting on me? No, 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 no. It's kind of like my parents have different political views than I. I've brought this up before. They're super, well, half of them. My one side is conservative. The other is really liberal, right? I vibe a little more politically with the liberal side, but more central, I think. But my parents who are conservative, if I like, I've told them this, if I'm bitching about Trump, it's because I don't like Trump. It has nothing to do with y'all or your parenting. I love you guys. I respect all of your wishes to watch, to consume any entertainment I want. Hell, I used to think furries were super fucking weird. Met a furry on here. I think I've brought this up too. She schooled me. She educated me on all the different things about furries that I didn't know. And then I was like, hey, this is kind of a cool outlet for someone who's, you know, not Stephen Stearns or somebody who's not doing something nefarious. Yeah. I used to watch some of these channels. That's why I'm fed up, because I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, if I'm shitting on Zavgirl, it's because of her. It's because I don't like how she operated with the Leticia Stout thing. It has nothing to do with you if you watched her. In fact, you could have watched her. You could have enjoyed it. You could have supported her on that. And I am not pissed at you for that. I in no way think you're bad. I think it sucks that as consumers of things, whether it be content or, you know, physical goods, when some people, let me put it this way, some people get a cheeseburger back and they order no onions, there's onions on it, and they're fine with that. When I get it back and I order no onions, I fucking hate onions and I get mad. That doesn't mean I'm mad at you for dealing with your onions, liking your onions, or even just settling for your onions. Or maybe you happen to enjoy them now that you've consumed it. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about the people who produced or made the burger, aka the YouTube video. It has nothing to do with you guys. I love you guys. And I'm actually, when I say, I get irritated when people say, let's agree to disagree when it comes to things that are provable facts. But when it comes to subjective things or opinions, if you will, like, yeah, we can totally agree to disagree. And I'm never going to even shit on you for that. Like, it's okay. But I don't ever want you guys to feel judged by me in any way when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, unless you're sitting there going ride or die for someone who's a complete piece of shit, who's like hurting victims, and then I'm probably going to project on you a little bit or just fucking bitch, you know, be a bitch. I might be a bitch, but I love you guys. So far, none of you have, I mean, no one's done anything to piss me off. One lady didn't like my cussing. I was like, go see Melanie. You might like her shit. Even she was polite. Like, I haven't had any issues with you guys. Yeah, shopping cart full of meat reminds me of King Henry. Why did I think it was tomorrow? Yeah, this was tonight. Yes, hello. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like the show. 3% rider. Hey, what does 3% rider mean? Or do you, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. I'm just curious. Is it like a turtle rider thing or like a ride or die thing? Is it like a motorcycle thing? What is it? I'm just curious. Yeah, I had the date wrong. Your dad got the date wrong. All right, let's keep going. Click that like or subscribe. Thank you so much. Gothic Brie is such a supportive daughter. You made a pulled pork barbecue sandwich last week with some homemade slaw. Oh my God, it was the bomb. Send me food pictures. Fucking homemade slaw is kind of hard to get right. Yeah, I posted it for tomorrow. Your dad fucked up. I did a dad slip. Hello, Cakes Boo. You're in Australia. I can see the AU. Hello. What's a dingo like? Show me a dingo. I want to go to Australia so fucking bad, but I'm scared of spiders. Now I'm a big feckin' Tweety. You big feckin' Tweety birds? Yes, I have memberships now, Cindy, and I put them in the description. YouTube said, hey, do you want to do members? And I was like, well, what does that mean? And it said, it means that you have to commit to perks. And I said, well, what are perks? And they're like, whatever you want them to be, bitch. And I was like, ooh. And they make it kind of hard to fill out. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I could show you some behind the scenes. But maybe we'll do that like in a few days. I want to kind of, maybe you guys can guide me because I'm like, I want to give them perks they want. Hello, Jenno. Nice to see you. I want to give you guys perks that you want. But when I was going, it's actually 111%. Look for it. Okay. Okay. I will. Australia sounds wonderful, except for the spiders the size of my head. Exactly, Janksy. But I'll still go, but I'll just avoid the head spiders. That's the goal. So here's what I was thinking. When I was coming up with the perks, like it'll give you a drop-down box and it'll say like members only live or communicate only with your members or, you know, very specific things. But then it lets you fill out what the perk actually is. And that was a bit confusing. So I figured we would start out this one, and I'm glad one of you brought up the members thing. I thought we'd start this one out before we get heavy into things talking about those. Hello, Dr. On-Call. Hello. Because some of the perks, I know that the media membership tier, like if you just become a member, I think it's like 99 cents. You can use the emojis. I think you can submit like supers. You could just do all the basic stuff. And then like there's members only posts, right? Then there's like the next tier, and I have them all labeled. But in one of them, I put exploit my dog because I'm going to put you some really cute dog pictures. And I added like, we're going to do a members only live. I thought that that would actually be kind of better for the stuff that's a little more complicated or involves things like genetic genealogy, things that aren't as broad that might require evidence and stuff like that. I'm not going to put up any unseen autopsy photos, but if there's any OSINT that's available that's a little bit more on the edgier side that might not be proper for public YouTube, we might do that. I'm just trying to avoid doing any like shit that's behind a Patreon thing because it's like people already spend their money on like one platform. I don't need you to go do that on every fucking platform. So if I could just get it all here, that would rule. I'd ideally like to, I'm thinking of opening like, or maybe doing like a paste bin situation or something where I can post data for you guys, or maybe I'll just, I got the Discord, but maybe I'll just start the page so I can like post evidence and things like that instead of just links in the description. But then I was like, well, I want everybody to be able to access it. So I might have some special links that I'll post in the Discord, and then some that will be for everyone, and then some that are a little more deep or maybe a little more complicated, I guess, if you will. And those are going to be in the membership ones, i.e. like there's more stuff. You know what I mean? Another thing I was thinking about was I have a lot of rare books and old books, really old books, and some interesting manuscripts, papers, research, things like that I've compiled over the last 2 decades. Some of the books I transferred to PDF just to upload on the Wayback Machine so that they can preserve them. A lot of the books and the links that I have gathered are for either like papers that are written by behavioral profilers that were once on the FBI website, no longer are, things by John Douglas, research papers and manuscripts from periodicals about crime and criminal profiling that are no longer available online. And I've got a lot of books that are like things like Metamorphosis of a Criminal, the rare one that's like super insanely expensive and impossible to get. The cool thing about a lot of these books is that the publishers don't have rights to them. And because like in the sense that it's illegal for them to sell them, like The Fall of the House of Gacy, stuff like that, some of them the author still can, but because the person can't legally benefit from it due to their sentence, they get nothing for it and nobody can sue you. A couple of those books where that is the case, I'd like to put as a membership only perk so that you guys can have access to it. And then eventually I'm thinking in a couple of months, put it so everybody can have it, because I'm not about like withholding a lot. I'm all about sharing this shit. But I think instead of doing like only members, we'll do like members get this early access. There might be 1 or 2 periodicals or research papers that maybe I'll just post in the community tab for members that are interesting. And then we'll see what you guys think. And if it's relevant to whatever we're talking about, we'll talk about it on here. But anyway, I want to know what you think about that. Are you interested in old criminal profiling, behavioral profiling, and crime manuscripts related to serial killers? Are you interested in extremely rare books that you cannot purchase anymore, that are not available online, to be able to read it in a PDF format or to read it online or through a Kindle? Like, is that something that you're interested in? Do you want to see some crazy antiques or things that are considered true crime memorabilia that maybe you didn't know about? Are you into the history of that sort of stuff? A lot of you are saying you love books. This is great. This is great. You guys like stuff like that. I love that for you. I saw someone I haven't seen before and I want to say hi. Oh, I guess it got lost. Well, anyway, hello to anybody who's new here. Hello. My name's Oblivious Benson. My real name is Kat. And I do comedy and talk about crime and talk about OSINT, and I want to teach you guys a bunch of cool stuff. And today we're going to learn something really cool. JT loves books. Excellent, excellent. Hello, Kim. Hello. How is it down south? You were right by my parents. I hope they're okay. I called them. They did not answer, but I think it's because they're watching some zombie shit. They love that stuff. Oh, I love how sweet you guys are to each other. It's okay. You can have many thoughts. You can have many thoughts. So Bun Bun and Jax, you are into that. Okay, you're into the book idea. Maybe I could do a poll. Maybe I'll just do that. I'll do a poll because I want to give it to you guys all. Give it to you guys all. See, I'm just fucking out of it. I did so much laundry today, you guys, that like, I don't know. Maybe it's the smell of the detergent, but I have been wonky and talking. I will never forget to mention the cult. I love the cult. Books rule. Okay, we're into books. We're into books. Excellent. Because some of the stuff that I have for you, I've got the original copy. So Elizabeth Kendall, her daughter, is still alive. They put out a new version of The Stranger Beside Me. No, that was Anne Rule. What did they just put out? I have it somewhere. Phantom Prince. So they just put out a new version, I believe, of that. And it's got a foreword in it. So I have the original one, the one that only had like 500 copies produced or something. And it's a little bit different. And I think there are some excerpts from that I could post that are different, that I think give a little bit of backstory. I think that it would be really cool to put up some old profiling. There was some early profiling papers that were published and produced with medical manuals and within medical literature in regards to a particular killer in California. And the behavioral profiler was kind of considered like, oh my God, he's shamed now because he was fucking wrong. And it was the guy who profiled Kenneth Bianchi. But then this guy ended up becoming a really fantastic profiler and amazing, but he had to learn from that. And so his early papers versus his later papers have a lot of differences in the funneling methods of profiling and why we believe what we do today, and the triad and all these different parts of profiling that have been kind of compiled over time. And I've been trying to put them in chronological order to kind of see how they learned what they learned. And ideally, I think it would be cool to like summarize it or post excerpts from it. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. I don't like posting crime scene photos or anything like that, but I do have some links to some very interesting websites that do have crime scene photos that give precedent to cases that we might talk about. So at the risk of not, not posting things that are not consumable for the average person on YouTube, perhaps distressing, disturbing, but medically important, evidentiarily important, I think that it would be cool to maybe provide you with a list of resources and links to see things like that. So we might do that. I want to know what you think about that. I keep forgetting to ask during the lives or didn't hear if it's already been mentioned. Have y'all seen John Ray's response to Catch List post on Reddit? Also, hello before I lurk again. Actually, I've talked to Catch List about this, and I think John Ray is insane. He's being a huge prick. He's doxing. Catch List is a very sturdy person. They have put up with a lot of shit. They get a shitload of responses every day. I don't think he'd be mad at me saying that, he's being trolled. He knows he's being trolled and he's avoiding those trolls. And that's exactly what you do when you're being trolled. They are fucking with him constantly. That young lady, Old Flowers, as we call her, she's got a little account there. And she is spreading hate and ignorance and lies. And when you give them the proof that this is, this isn't the way, you're going to get in trouble. What you're sharing is bullshit. Even if you're polite to them, they double down. They don't care. It's very Karen Reed, the McAlberts, you know how all the trolls were putting out fake shit and sharing it about Karen? That's what they're prepared to do. That's what John Ray's side is prepared to do. And, at this point, he needs to get rid of those people around him or stop believing the bullshit, because it sucks. I don't want him to get sued, but he's going to get sued. It sucks. Thank you so much, Cindy, for becoming a member. Love you, babe. Love seeing you here every day. I'm like memorizing your name. Sometimes when I'm talking to a boyfriend's dad, I will say things like, well, Deb from Canada said, Lily Lore says, and I love it. Gothic Bree says this. You guys have taken on personas in my house. I use you to back up my arguments. How do you type out people's handles without typos? I see there's no way to reply to someone other than, you know, here's the thing. Is it Nut the Cute? Is that what it is? Or is it K Nut the Cute? Either way. Also, congrats on winning last week in that contest we did. When people use emojis, it doesn't, for some reason, like even if I put the right emoji, it doesn't tag them. And when I spell their name out, it doesn't. And then the names are spelled two different ways, one way in chat and the other way when you get a notification. So I don't know. It's very confusing. I wish YouTube would get a hold of it. I don't know what's going on there. I will usually just type someone's name out if it doesn't let me. Ann Rice does rule. And I said Ann Rice, didn't I? I meant Ann Rule. Ann Rule Rices. How about that? Hello, Patronus. Hello, Doctor on Call. You love medical stuff. I know you do because you're a doctor on call. You use app before you type their name. I mean, are you using the app? If you're not, that could be why. You just have to type it out. Now, if you guys have like a hamburger or a hot dog or something, not trying to get too political, but if you have a hamburger or a hot dog, even if they put the emoji in, sometimes if you're doing it from your phone and you have an Android instead of an iPhone, it's not going to pull the right emoji for some reason. I have tried this. It is weird. Type the ad. Everybody's being so helpful with each other. I love you. Do I need to include? Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you don't, it doesn't tag them. And if you do, sometimes it doesn't tag them. So I am not entirely sure. I think I asked Melanie about it once and she said the same thing. Just put the ad in that. But for some reason, it doesn't work on mine all the time. If you're on a phone, it's tough. Yeah, there you go. This is all very good. I love author Chris Carter, but he's not for everybody. I don't know who that is, but I'll look him up. My favorites are, I like Lori Nataro. I like David Sedaris. I like Augustin Burroughs. I like a lot of biographies and people who write essays, things like that. But as far as true crime goes, fucking Anne Rule, John Douglas, what's his name? Wrestler. Just there's so many. There's so many good books. Hell, even nutty ass, what's his name from the Zodiac case? His books are great, even if half the shit he says is bullshit, you know? You're on an old iPad. That could be why. Hello, Princess Mish. Thank you for being a new member. I appreciate you. Yeah, Catchless. Here's the thing. Just like Melbourne Marvels, and I mean, it's kind of crazy how every single case has a person that ends up kind of rising to the top as the ultimate, ultimate organizer. They've got a map. They've got all the evidence. They're just collecting the data. In Karen's case, I guess it would be a combination of Turtle Boy and the 13th juror, right? And then you've got Melanie with a bunch of the case documents, analyzing them. You've got all these different entities dealing with it. But as far as like charts, graphs, here's everything laid out. You have Turtle Boy's blog. And then whenever you look at Mr. Cruel, you've got Melbourne Marvels, and Lisk has always been catching Lisk. It's just wild. Like there's always somebody who's like really good at that shit. They spend a lot of their time. They dedicate a good chunk of their life to it, depending on how long it takes. And those people need to be recognized because I wish my brain was as organized as their websites. The woman who started Web Sleuths is a brilliant bae. She is Queen Bae. Imagine, I was working on a video for you guys a long time ago and I had to stop because there was too much information. It was literally insane. The amount of cases I was looking into. Hello, little Irish girl, you beautiful big feckin' bird. The amount of cases that have an incomprehensible number of people working on it that led to a resolution because of Web Sleuth specifically is insane. It's insane. And to think that they've been going since 98, 99, I think I was a freshman or a sophomore, and it was like there was no one in there. And I started under an alt account as a dude. And then when that movie Hard Candy came out, I started another alt account. I was like, I'm going to see who's in here. I'm not out of it now, but oh my God, I took too much of my meds this morning by accident. I don't regret it. I finally slept after 4 days with only 2 hours of sleep. So please, family, read meds instructions. Oh my gosh. Read the instructions for sure. And also, if you're, by the way, learned this a while back. If you're ever on like psych meds or antidepressants, SSRIs. In my case, I was on a hormone medication because I have fucked up wackety whack hormones. Always pay attention. Definitely read the fine print, because I found out that a lot of those specific medications are directly affected by grapefruit juice. Who knew? Guess what my favorite fucking shit is? Grapefruit juice. I fucking love grapefruits. It can actually like reverse the effects or counteract, not reverse. Never mind. I take that back. It can counteract the what your medication does. If you're on something like, I don't know, I think one of them was like lithium was on the list. I read a whole list of them of what grapefruit affects. In fact, look that up. See if your med's on there. Because I was chugging a bunch, and then I found out there's some in it that it can like, you're taking medication for nothing. I guess it's just harming your liver. I don't know, but I didn't know that. I used to be a diehard JR defender, but then I started researching. Yep. I defended him too. I was like, look at that fucking hat. Look at this guy with his fucking cane, all that swag. But then you read the fine print, it's like shit. Just like anything else, it can be smoke and mirrors. Not saying it always was, but it can become that. Yeah, I don't want to post crime scene photos. Exactly. It will be a source for fantasy for predators, thus becoming a further victimization of victims and their loved ones. Agree. That's why I don't want to. The only time that you'll see it is like, let's say, like the other day, I was showing Forensic Files. There were crime scene photos in it, but it was on an episode of Forensic Files that is on YouTube. So, I can't really do much about that. However, I'm not going to show you slides of it. It's never going to happen. If it does happen, they're going to be discreet, and it's going to be for a very specific purpose. And you're never going to see anything that's like, oh my God. Like, and also you're going to get trigger warnings if so. And it's like a much like it absolutely needs to happen situation. Cause I never want to limit myself and say you absolutely won't. You absolutely won't unless there's an exigent circumstance that requires it. And I can't really think of a situation where there is. I think that the best way to do it is if there is something that can be helpful, or because a lot of people they want them to be seen. They want people to see, this is what my loved one went through. Help us figure out why the police will not help. Help us figure out why this can't be prosecuted. In those instances, even then, I'm not going to show them to you. But if you want to link to them so that you can understand the data and the evidence, I will put a link. But I'm never gonna do that. Like, that's crazy. I think that it should be up to you if you see a dead body. That should be your option. I think if you're watching Forensic Files though, or shows like First 48, even if they have it blurred, you kind of know you're gonna see some shit. So I can't, unfortunately, because it's a true crime channel, I can't really guarantee you're not going to see disturbing stuff, but I am going to try to warn you, and I'm never going to put you in a position where it's like, boom, here's a body. Like, if we're watching Forensic Files and you can't handle Forensic Files, then you got to turn it off. You know what I mean? Or maybe watch later. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's fair to just boom, here you go. I think that, like, for example, when Melanie had the dog bite expert on and they were comparing things to the arm, I think that was kind of a respectful way to do it, but I don't even think she posted that. I think the way she did it was very good though. So I like that style. I think that it's kind of fucked up when people just, they show stuff that maybe the family wouldn't want out there. I'm very careful with that. And I want to make sure I remain careful. All right, let's keep going. Excuse me. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. Yeah, Web Sleuth is the bomb. I absolutely love it. I have to come all the way down. I think I came by being obsessed by true crime at an early age. My best friend was taken out of my grade school and essayed, beaten, and left for alive. She survived. That was 46 years ago. Oh my God, Carrie. Holy snap, dude. What an amazing person, first of all. She survived that. How are you guys still close? Do you ever talk to her? That's fascinating. I cannot imagine that happening. That's really sad. Fuck. I'm so sorry about your friend. But I can also see how that can be intriguing, you know, how that can get you started. Like, me getting my ass beat got me into, like, when I was like, "Oh my god, I'm alive," I got real heavy. I thought that I would have a hard time watching Datelines and things like that after. No, I got whatever I had before that made me intrigued by case studies and, you know, missing persons, which was namely my old roommate going missing and kids I grew up with in the neighborhood going missing, and, you know, a young lady in the town next to us, Patty, going missing. Like, those things intrigued me. The news intrigued me. America's Most Wanted was amazing. I was obsessed with Rescue 911. But then when something happened that was like close to home, literally, that's what made me that's what made me actually want to change career paths and get into OSINT. So I can imagine that happening to your best friend probably planted a seed in you at a very young age to be wary of predators, to pay attention to what to look for, all sorts of things. I feel like it was either Duty Ron or Melanie, one of them I was talking to once, and they were saying, like, I think it was Duty Ron, maybe, how, like, your experience, your personal experience in or around it is typically what causes people to get into things like law enforcement, forensics, digital all these different things. I'm very interested in, you know, if you guys have personal stories you ever want to share, I would love to hear them. Maybe we'll do a call-in of that. Who? Gothic Bree lost one of your dogs? Oh, honey. Wait, who lost one of her dogs today? Oh, no. I don't know who it is, but tell me. I hope they're okay. Oh. Nut was a polar bear that lived in the Berlin Zoo and was hand-raised by a zoo employee when abandoned by his mother. It's a bittersweet story, but very heartwarming. Oh, that's so cute. The Berlin Zoo. Interesting. I'm gonna come back to this. Maybe we'll watch a video of Nut. Oh, whoever's doggy passed, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the double med thing is scary. Or to miss your meds. Oof. Back at my laptop now. Whoever was asking about how to tag people's screen name accurately, get on a PC or a laptop if you can. It is a game changer. Who lost their dog today? That's so sad. Oh, I'm crocheting a Jen McCabe doll tonight. I mean, a giant saying, "Oh my god, do we need to watch the Jen McCabe video again?" Florida has the sweetest grapefruits. It does. I want a grape. Ooh, don't try to get me to Florida. Fuck. Now I have to go. All you have to do on a laptop. Okay, you guys are being great. I'm gonna skip past the ones where we're helping each other because I'm sure y'all saw it already. I defend him too. It's okay. It's fine. Sometimes also, you know, you can feel bad for all pills are creepy is a funny like bumper sticker. Yeah, stick to weed, fan. Well, some people need pills though, Lily Lore. Like, for example, if you're schizophrenic, weed's only gonna make it worse most of the time. So we gotta be careful. Some people do need to medicate, but I see what you mean. You're talking recreationally, Lily? Yes, exactly. Grapefruit juice interacts with lots of yeah, and I didn't know that for a while. Xanax and grapefruit? Stop, 3%. I don't know what statin meds means. Hey, girl, have girl, just saying. Okay. I don't know what you're saying, but I love you and I support you. With sugar coated? Okay, we're going down. I need to get to the bottom. I skipped too much. Okay, I hate Big Pharma, 8,000. Yeah, that's so fucking crazy for your lupus. Yes, we talked about that last time. Did you look into that Canadian pharmacy? Curious about that. Nope, not today. He says, I love a judge that says crime scene photos on the air. I work for years in criminal courts. I've seen enough. I can imagine. Also on tagging chatters, if you're okay, more on the tagging. Good. Teach each other. That's why G has a standard trigger warning. Yep. JR held a presser at Shannon Gilbert's funeral. Yes, he did. Love OJ, but too acidic. Pineapple OJ is a shit, though. And oddly, pineapple has so much acid, it's the only fruit that eats you. You heard about that? It's true, but it's delicious. We got some lovers of forensic files in the chat. I love that for you. I became obsessed with a mass shooting after being in one when I was pregnant with my oldest. She just turned 28 yesterday. Doctor on call. Holy shit. We got to talk sometime. Yeah, my family was in one. It is a lot. It is a lot to handle. You were pregnant in one. Did it cause you to have the baby? I would imagine. Shit. If your baby's past due, some people, my mom was talking about getting on a roller coaster. I think she did, like trying to get me out. I'd imagine like I would be so scared. Not like just the noises alone could have shit. Are you okay? Like, is that okay? Hope you're all right now. And I'm so sorry that you were in that. It's fucking terrifying. But see how you became obsessed with them? So what's weird is with mass shootings, I am actually not as obsessed with them. I'm more obsessed with like arguing with the conspiracy theorists and fighting them online. But when footage of it comes on, I get very emotional, but I wasn't physically there when it happened. You know, my family was. I hate the look on their face when people talk about it. And so when I see it, I don't know why, but I'm like, I can't handle this. Like the Uvalde thing was heartbreaking as fuck. And I don't know, but oddly, when true crime happened to me, I was like, oh, I can watch this all day. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's weird. Is there anything that you guys have a hard time watching with true crime? OSINT is open source intelligence, by the way. It's basically it's research, it's data, it's anything that is public that's available online to legally gather and to draw intelligence from. For example, if somebody says, I was not at this place on this date, and that is their alibi, and I am able to go on Xbox and see that they were playing a video game at the place they said they weren't, I just used open source intelligence as evidence. Now, the police might have to go get a warrant to confirm that. They might have to pull EXIF data if it's a photo. They might have to pull metadata. In those cases, some of that is open source, but you might have to get a warrant for it to be preserved for court. But as far as finding it and it existing, that's open source. So that's great. Okay. Oh, Jay lost a dog? Oh, no. I'm going to text her. Oh, no. Poor baby. I feel so bad for her. Oh, our little potato Jay. We have to do something sweet for her. Let me think about that. I'm going to figure out something sweet to do for her. Poor girl. He took her from the restroom I had been in right before her. It easily could have been me. I slept with a baseball bat under my bed, afraid he was coming for. Holy shit. That is so scary. This is okay, so what Carrie's talking about, you're talking about your childhood best friend. A guy took her from a restroom that you had just been in. So you went to the bathroom, you leave, your friend goes in, and then she gets kidnapped. Oh my gosh. Please tell me have you gotten any therapy for like any survivor issues, like as far as like guilt or anything? I know you shouldn't have any, but it's natural too. Holy shit. Also, poor Jay's dog. Oh my God. All of you. Woo, woo. Tonight is a night. Maybe we need to look at the Jen McCabe video so we can all feel better and laugh at her later. Yeah, we're going to have to do something sweet for Jay. I'm actually going to, before it gets super, super late, we're going to text her live. How about this? Let's text her. Here, I'm going to scroll to the bottom. You guys tell me what to text her in addition to my thoughts and prayers. I'm going to say, I'll do voodoo on whoever homicided your dog. I don't know what happened to the dog, but we're going to assume it's murder. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Let's message her and let's tell her that we love her. How about that? How about that? Oh, good. Here we go. What should you guys tell me? What should I tell her? Yeah, her roof, her AC. Now the dog, she's eating dinner right now. Okay, should we wait? Should we wait until after dinner? I'm going by what Bree says. Yeah, it is traumatic. Holy shit. We love you. We love you, Jay. Okay. I'm going to type it, and then we're going to put it on pause, and we'll send it when her dinner's done. Poor lady. Poor Jay. Here we go. Uh-oh. Okay. Actually, I'm going to get it ready, and then we'll see. We'll do it in a minute. I don't want to interrupt her dinner. Poor girl. Yeah, she did not need that. She's been through hell, you guys. If you guys don't know who Jay is, she's from Guilty of Crime. Here's what I'm going to do. Tonight, in honor of her dogums, we're going to, let's make her a banner. We're going to make her a little banner. And anybody who does not already have her added, go add her channel, okay? Please. And send her your love. And tell her that, you know, she's a good potato. You know, and we're here for her. And if she needs anything, we got you. It's 9:56 in California. Oh, shit. It's almost midnight here in Texas. So it's not that late? Okay. I get sad when my son's hamsters die. Losing a dog. Yeah. I can't. Oh. It's so heartbreaking, dude. We know you puppets had a great life. Oh, poor babies, puppers. I don't know, Jay, but my heart. Yeah, loss of a pet is so horrible. Oh, poor little girl. I still see everybody as children, even because I'm a dad, but in reality, she's a grown-ass woman. But I feel terrible for her. This is horrible. Maybe we need to send her an Okie Noodling t-shirt. Do I need to buy? I just thought of something great. I thought of something great that's going to cheer her up. I was already working on this, but I was working on some gifts for everyone because I don't think they're going to see this because they're all very busy. I'll tell you right now, I made stickers for Duty Ron and Melanie and Duty Ed. Ed's has the drapes behind him in a Descendant style, like the band. Duty Ron's is very special. I've got his badge number on it. Melanie's is like a Grateful Dead bear cupcake. And Jay, I've been working on a design for, but she made a joke once that was very funny. And I think we said something like, she'll steal your users and your girl or something. It was just some joke. I'm thinking I'll make her I'll get her a screen. They have this, there's a couple of different websites where you can buy like specific prints that you can put onto shirts with a heat press, or you can have them make the shirt for you. I might make her a shirt version of something that she really likes. And then I'm going to send her stickers. I'm going to finish her stickers probably in the middle of the week. I'm hoping to get them back some of them are already sent off. I have 2 designs left to send off. I'll send off Jay's and Duty Ed's. So we'll get them back at the same time. And then I'm going to mail them all on the same day. I think that could be good. I mean, it's not going to take away the pain, but maybe she'll send me a picture of her puppy later. And I know this artist who paints and draws little comics of dogs. Maybe we can get her a custom of her dog. And we'll get because she has we'll get the rainbow and the grass and the dog with like a toy, something like that. We'll do something sweet for her. Who has a dancing bear tattoo? A Grateful Dead tattoo? Hell yeah. A tattoo? Yeah, did you go bang Jen yet? Everyone, time to buck up. We're about to hear how Adam's date with Jen McCabe went in the van. Yeah, those Moroccan curtains. It's literally, I got the Descendants because I think Ed kind of looks like the logo from the band The Descendants, but it's got the curtains behind it. So yeah, I have to scroll to the down. I'm so sorry I have to skip and go to the bottom because there's so many comments, but I love you guys. There's photos on the community post. Oh, good. Thank you for that. Also, hello, D Mystery Obsessed. Oh my God, is that your little mouse in? Ooh, maybe the Mookies will come up later so you guys can say hi. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to go find that and now I'll incorporate her doggy into it. Maybe we'll get her 2 sets of stickers. I have a friend that has a concrete business. She makes memorial stuff for pets and people too, of course, but super cool. Yeah, have you seen the ones where they put the paws in the concrete or the clay? I absolutely love that. That is the best. Okay. Hey, Candace, Bree, I just got your message. Thank you. I will use that. My cousin does beautiful pet art. You guys, if y'all send it my way, send me the links. I have this one guy in my neighborhood. He makes like weird comics of dogs and he makes these hilarious ones of them like smoking cigars and playing poker and stuff like that. But he makes them look so crazy and weird. And the art is like purposefully bad that it's really good and it's very funny. And it like I've never given someone one of his pieces of art and they've been offended. They've always been like, oh my God, this is hilarious. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about that. Did you say Jen McScabies? Holy shit. Dr. On Call has the comment of the week right now. Oh, did you say Trey Michael Jackson was your weenie dog? Sweet and salty? That's the best name. I found a dog once after work. I worked at a coffee shop and I came outside and in the parking lot. It ran up to me. It was lost. No one around. I scoop it up. I call the owner. Dog's name is Kanye West. Cute little chihuahua. Cute little chihuahua. All right. Let's get to the point. Because today, also, you call her Jen McScabies. Oh, I love you guys. Y'all are so fucking funny. So I want to show you something. So, excuse me. I was talking to you the other day about old news. We barely got to watch any. What we did watch was goofy. It was like commercials, stuff like that. When I talk about OSINT, open source intelligence, I'm not just talking about like digital stuff. I think in my past videos, if you've watched any of them, for example, if you're concerned about sex trafficking and you're looking at a cold case, because I primarily like to deal with cold cases, you might say, this person was trafficked in 2006. There's reason to believe she's still alive. She's going to look different. She was groomed. She was, let's say she was 16. Now she'd be older, but at the time she was trafficked, she was a minor. So technically she's just a missing person now. She's my cousin, let's say. The cops have her on a missing persons list. They say they're taking it seriously, but there's been no communication. There's been no movement in the case in years, and we're really worried. We heard that she was on, let's say, Bissonnette Street in Houston, which is considered the Blade. The Blade, or the track, is what they call the street where a lot of women walk it and try to flag down cars. One thing that you could do that is considered open source intelligence that I found extremely useful, and there is actual precedent where there are videos that you can go back and see where, for example, there are women walking on the Blade. One of the things, like how there's John forums where they talk about the sex workers, and sometimes it's positive reviews and sometimes it's gossiping and sometimes it's threatening. There are also, ever since the rise of YouTube, which mid 2000s to late 2000s, there are also people who drive around these areas. Let me get closer because I feel like I'm too quiet. There are also people who drive around these areas and videotape as they're trying to pick up the women. Is it gross? Is it disturbing? Is it unethical? That's for you to decide. But there are Johns that will drive around and film. And you can see all of the different women walking around. And some of them look really young. And some of them look really old. And they're different shapes, colors, sizes. They're all different. Some of them have guys around them. Some of them are completely alone. Some of them have girls with them. Now, when you're searching for a trafficking victim, a cold case victim, or someone through an ad that is posted online, they typically don't show their face or they try to hide their tattoos, right? If it's somebody who's very high profile, you're likely never going to find an ad of them in the state that they went missing from, but you might find one elsewhere and it's going to be under a different name. So things like Pim Eyes and Tin Eye have been used to scroll the internet, try to use AI facial recognition to find these women. Another thing that is possible is considering that maybe they're not being posted online. Even though a lot are, there are still tracks and blades. They're not all shut down. Bissonnette, temporarily, it always pops back up. Let's hope it doesn't, but it happens. In places like Louisiana, in places like DC, right behind the White House, that is where the Blade is. In places like Atlanta, these places are very wide open and still operating. When we stayed in Koreatown in LA, literally 160 SWs out there on the street. Some of them could have been involuntary and some could have been voluntary, but there were so many. Sometimes they walk around naked with like just a thong and like barely anything on top. It depends on the laws. Technically, they're not breaking any until they are, in which case there seemed to be no one around to bust them. So these places get worse and worse. In instances like that, you can very likely find people simply working the street because putting them online would be too risky. And then there are some people who only are online and in calls, out calls. They meet at a hotel and never go to the street anymore. That's 90s to them. It just depends on the city, the state, the environment, and whether or not you have a pimp or you don't. So depending on these things also depends on what kind of, or it chooses, I should say, what kind of open source intelligence can be helpful. I noticed Michelle say, yep, same here in San Francisco. One of the cases that I worked on with a young lady who, she's now an adult. She's around my age. She's got kids. She does not at all do that anymore. But 10 years ago, she did. And at first it was voluntary. And then she realized, holy shit, I was groomed. Eventually she got out of it. I did a long podcast with her. I'm going to post it soon. Not too soon, but eventually. A lot of remember the guy I told you who would make women get into a freezing bath full of ice and play dead, and then he'd pay them money and leave? The guy who focused on women who only looked young. And this sex worker contacted me and said, I no longer do this anymore, but these are the clients I remember. This is what they did. One tried to kill me. One stalked me. Here's what happened. When we had to go find them, these are some of the methods we used that I'm about to talk about. But they are essential tools of OSINT in order to find either the trafficker or the victim, or, if you will, the suspect, depending on what they've done. And one of those things that's very helpful, believe it or not, is YouTube. Going on YouTube, typing in the name of the blade or the track, the street, and simply looking for videos around the time frame from when your subject went missing or was said to be there or could have been there, and just watching, slowing it down and looking. Does this girl look like that? Can we see this tattoo? There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of videos of these women. In San Fran specifically is where we were looking. And I can tell you, it was a wild trip. We even found the guy's car based on a dent she remembered. It's a lot. Hot date sheets. Let's talk about that. Some people call them black books, pink books, red books. They can be date sheets, date books. Sometimes they're in a Google PDF or a Google Doc. In the case of the woman I talked to, she was working back in 2009 and stuff. They had a Google Doc that they all shared. The FBI busted one. And then when they did a, for this one girl, her case, it was beyond just a sex case. It was a trafficking situation, I believe. They were able to look in her Google Docs, identify everyone she contacted. Oh, shit. Hold on a second, guys. The pup needs to go. Oh, honey. I know. Let me take him out. This is an emergency pause. Oh, he's barking. I'm going to play you. Hold on, honey. I'm going to play you guys a video. I'll be right back. Hold on. I know, honey. I know. Is it because Daddy's outside? I think it's because his dad's outside. He's freaking out. He wants to go. I'm going to play you something that we're going to talk about in a minute. So let me just share that. I know, honey. Oh, do you see how demanding he is? Hold on. We'll be right back here.
Attorney Mark Garagos and retired FBI agent and News Nation Law and Justice contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer. It's great to see you both. I have two items, okay? And they're both for you to explain and for Garagos to exploit. The first one is the DNA evidence. The prosecutors are playing it close to the vest, Coffindaffer, and they don't want to talk so much about how they did the genealogy processing and who they did it with. Why? What's the good argument for their secrecy?
I don't understand that argument. I think what they're trying to say is really it's inconsequential at this point. They have the direct DNA now that they obtained legally to compare to the sheath. So why go through the genealogy? It's really not important at this point.
It is to you, Garagos, and why?
For a variety of reasons. I mean, first of all, it's somewhat stunning to me that if what the defense is saying is true, that there is none of the victim's DNA in his car, in the house, and we know that the only DNA so far that has connected to him is the touch DNA on the sheath. I will tell you that is going to be something they're going to go to town on the touch DNA, and they're going to make the argument, which they were they're 1 or 2 steps removed from it, that there would have naturally been some kind of transference into the car.
All right, you guys, I'm so sorry I had to do that to you. That is my bad, you guys. That is my bad. Listen, here's what I wanted to do. But Hugin got angry. It's actually, we've got, our neighbor has rats and raccoons going nuts. And the raccoon will come up and I'm going to get a video. I think it karate kicks the door. I don't know what this raccoon is doing. It is nuts as fuck. This video was supposed to go along with something I was going to talk to you about with genetic genealogy later. I just put it on because it's like, goddamn, the Hugin's freaking out. You know what I mean? Is he still freaking out? No, he's done. I took him outside. He sniffed, he pissed. He immediately tried to chase a rat, and then he stopped. And now he's inside. And Jesus Christ. Do you see what he does? He comes up, and the second he has to do anything, he goes, it's so fucking funny. But also like, okay, like anything. If he's just bored, he'll do that. In this case, he just had to pee. Okay. Excuse me. And also, great questions about Coffindoffer. We're going to talk about why I posted this or why I showed you this later. And I'm sorry. You're like, make it stop. I should have picked something better. Okay. Hold on. because I do want to show you. I do have something else I want to pull up real quick. And let me open that. Okay. Okay, so back to my point. Hold on, let me pull this down. Okay, sorry about that. So, I was basically talking about, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, women who work in the sex industry will often have like a sort of way to communicate so that they can share dangerous johns with each other. That's a whole different topic for a whole different day. But it's something that exists. And I've actually been talking to a couple of them about working on an app to keep them safe, those who choose to. I personally, I don't do sex work. I've never done it and I'm not interested in it, but I do get worried about the amount of women who fall victim to horrible situations and who do sex work. And if there's anything tech-wise that can help them, I'm interested in doing that. Again, it's kind of like the condom thing. Like, you can expect your kids not to have sex, or you can give them a condom and teach them about safe sex. Same situation. You can expect women not to embrace their sexuality and become sex workers if that's what they feel it is, and that's what they feel they're doing, and that's what they choose to do. You can tell them not to, they're still going to do it. So may as well try to make it safe, especially when they are victims constantly of serial killers or of circumstance. So the reason I brought all of this up is because, sorry, I have to scroll to the bottom. A bad date sheet. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, exactly. It's almost like a burn book for dudes who are bad. They do exist, but it's very hard for these women to keep them going, especially if you get busted. Or if somebody gets busted, it becomes part of an investigation, then you lose it all, right? And then you no longer know who the baddies are. It's a problem. So the whole point of this whole speech is there is open source intelligence that exists that can help us when we're trying to find anybody, victim, suspect, all sorts of stuff. Typically, It can be in the form of a YouTube video of somebody filming something. Sometimes we see home video footage get posted of places. And I like to use that to get to know environments that I've never been in. If you're looking at a case that happened in Pennsylvania and you've never been to Pennsylvania, I think it's a good call to go on Google Maps and look through the neighborhood and walk through it through Google Earth and see what that neighborhood looks like. If somebody tells you about a blade and how there's a girl that could be out there, I think it's helpful to go look at traffic cams and see who's out there right now. If your kid is missing and you think that they're going to go to XYZ environment and, or a house, and it's going to take you 10 minutes to get there, but there's a live traffic cam showing right now what that environment looks like, you could try that. There are so many different things that are available as tools at our disposal that involve media and entertainment even, that people don't really always consider. Hello, Joanne Byer. Welcome. Welcome to YouTube. Thank you for being a member. I think that today's a great episode to become a member. You might learn some stuff. Yes, no sex ed at all is dangerous and it's scary. And don't forget, I am going to text Jay in a little bit when we put this video on. Yeah, she is not a good source. And actually, that's kind of what we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I have to kind of keep this a little bit quicker tonight because your dad has several work projects due in the early morning. So I'm going to have to get to that and a school project. Your raccoon loved to play with the faucets in the bathroom. Her name was Princess. She was very smart and cat-like. I wish we could have pet raccoons. One would play with the Hugin. It would be so fun. It would be legal and fun. My neighbors have rats by the trash. The buggers started making a huge nest under my kayak. The nest is huge now. You have to be careful, too, because they'll fucking nest in your car. It's so scary. Mind blown, Dr. Potato. All right. Oh, hello, Tiff Knox. Hello. Those guys have their own sheets. If I recall, some of the Lisk victims was on one. Yes. The guys have their sheets and the girls. In fact, if you're talking about the John forum, I can show that to you guys if you want to see it. The exact one from Amber Costello's. I'm pretty sure I've shown it before, and I showed it on Melanie's channel, but I can show you where the Johns were talking about her, and the FBI visited them and scared the shit out of them, and they discuss it. That's a great form of open source intelligence. In fact, that was one of the things that we turned in. So anyway, one of the things that I like to do, especially with cases that are cold, whether it's 10 years or more. Okay, cool. I saw you, Gothic Brie. I see that. Thank you. One of the things I like to do, especially if it's super old, if it's the 80s or 90s that we're looking at, is I like to go look at old news footage, like really old. And I'm not even necessarily looking, when I'm looking for this, I'm not really looking just for anything that has Rex in it. It's not like I think I'm going to find him. However, when I was looking through old high school reunions from his school, I found footage of various high school reunions from his school around those surrounding years. It'd be interesting to see if his is available. His exact year is not. However, there's old school video of like literally people with a camcorder recording in the 80s, 90s, 70s of all these different high schools. This senior year day, it's almost as common as finding the yearbook online. So it's important to look through things like that. It's also important if something happened on a street, like there was a big residential fire and the news crew was there, you might see him in the background looking. I think looking at news around the dates that bad things happen or that crime occurs can tell you a lot about the state of the area, what was going on in society. For example, Chandra Levy, when she went missing, what was that, 9/11? Or when she was murdered missing? It was 9/11. That's a bad day to get murdered or go missing. A really bad day. Because there was no police available. The sky was filled with dust and people were freaking the fuck out. That's a day where any found footage at all can tell you all kinds of stuff. But there are other days just like that happen all the time. Yeah, somebody found Rex in a yearbook. Quite a few people did. But video surveillance is a good point. It's a game changer for crime. But here's the thing. It's always been a game changer. It was a game changer in the 70s and 80s. There's a Mount Airy Lodge video of this family just going there for the first time to vacation. And it comes from the exact week that Staten Island Jane Doe went missing and was staying at the lodge. Now, I watched the whole thing, and while I never saw Staten Island Jane Doe in the footage, Christine Belusco, what I did find was a family of Italian dudes freaking the fuck out over Gambler's Weekend. Making the funniest joke. I don't know this family. They made me laugh so hard. Maybe we'll watch that one day. But I do think that there are things we can learn. Imagine how stunned I was. And again, this doesn't really have to necessarily do with Rex himself, but it actually has to do a lot with Burke. Imagine how surprised I was when I was looking through some old Long Island news footage. Who, by the way, I know all the newscasters' names now. I know old Melba. I know everything about your news more than mine. If you're there in Long Island. But I was looking through some old news from the late 80s to the mid 2000s. Now that we know that Sandra Castilla is involved in this string, now I'm wondering, well, were there any ladies that went missing? Because we all know there were women in this case who were not reported missing. However, there are times when there are reports of people on the news that don't make the paper, that don't make NamUs, and for some reason aren't up on the cold case directory. And that is wild. There are times when a foot could be found, and it's for some reason not in the newspaper, and for some reason, if it is, nobody screen caught it. But yet I found news reports of it. I think that it's really important to go back and watch old archive news. There are two people who post a lot of it from your area. I'm going to put their names below in the description after this. But I want to show you something. If you ever saw Duty Ron talking about the John Pius investigation, imagine my surprise when I literally was watching them in order starting in like 79. I've made it up to 1989. I made it through a whole decade of news in the last year. But imagine my surprise when November 29th to December 23rd of 1989, part 2 of 3 came up for News 12 Long Island. And I heard a very interesting story being broadcast. It had to do with the John Pius investigation. John Pius was a little boy whose body was found, beaten. I believe they crushed him with a log. Pardon, it's very brutal. I'm sorry. Hello, Lady Like Grace. He's found kind of behind the high school, a little bit ways into the woods. His bicycle had been with him, and I believe it was turned over. It was laying there on the side, I think. It's been a long time since I read all the reports on him. I did a FOIA. I read everything on him, all the case files, pulled it all from Judy. And what's interesting is there's a witness in that case, a very young man who you might know as Jimmy Burke. He was 14, 15 at the time. Him and his brother, I believe, were considered troublemakers. They were little shitheads, little shits. He liked to fuck around with gangs, and gangs back then, I guess, are like the greasers and the socias. I don't know. He liked to drink. His friends were a little older. They smoked pot. He'd go get wasted and try to impress people, and he'd bully people. A group of his friends were suspects in the murder of John Pius. He was the big star witness that said everything that Spoda, remember him, wanted him to say. Spoda at that moment became pretty much informant daddy to him, a 14-year-old, 13 or 14, I believe, who was asked to be a witness in this case. Now, what's odd is there were 3 or 4 other witnesses to this boy's murder, or witnesses who heard someone overhearing things. That's a witness back then. And those boys had a total opposite account of what Burke had. The last minute during the during the trial, at the last minute, all of a sudden they pop up with this witness who has all the answers. And the girlfriend of one of the guys who they suspected, all of a sudden, when they start showing up at her school and home and interviewing her, all of a sudden, this one guy confessed. And what's interesting is before that guy supposedly confessed, which he said he didn't, and before I say pinned it on him, just my opinion, right before that, there were talks and there were focuses of, in all of the paperwork, Burke, a potential older brother of his, or maybe a cousin, and 2 other boys. Now, just like that, right when it was time for trial, all of a sudden there's a new guy coming forward. It's Jimmy Burke. He's the informant. He's the witness. He's a kid. He's going to tell you who murdered this kid. They ended up, I believe, letting that guy go. In fact, I know now. Or him getting off. And then it became a whole clusterfuck. Eventually, I believe they tried to pin it on 2 other people. It's a whole thing. Anyway, after that moment, you start seeing Burke pop up in a lot of paperwork. He becomes a witness to all kinds of investigations right when they need it. And their clearance rate goes through the roof all of a sudden. All of a sudden, they're closing the books on a lot of cases. And then Jimmy Burke, who has a horrible record, who doesn't have good grades, who is considered a bully and pretty much piece of shit by every character witness who ever spoke for him, all of a sudden, he becomes one of the youngest guys to climb the ladder in Suffolk County history. Spoda's golden boy. Before you know it, he's chief and he's beating the shit out of someone to near death. I found news footage on that kid. It just popped up and I went, wow, this would be cool to show you. It shows you a little bit of what I'm talking about. Because some of the things that are in this couldn't find in the paper. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about open source intelligence. It can be all kinds of things. Even a VHS copy uploaded onto YouTube. I found a lot of stuff about the Pine Barrens, about the area where the girls were found that are interesting, and we're going to watch that too. Because this is stuff from before the bodies were found. Some of it after Sandra and them were dumped in the exact area where the government said, hey, somebody's dumping all these cars out here. There's all these cars and all this debris and all this trash out here. And it's leaking into the drinking water. It's right by the aquifer. Oil is leaking into your drinking water. So we're going to take all the police, all the government agencies we have, and we're going to rip all these. We're just going to take all these vehicles out. And then what did they say? They said, well, it's a mob dumping ground for vehicles and old cars. So instead of looking into every single car and pulling off every single plate and figuring out what they were doing here, they just picked them up, dropped them, trash compacted them in a metal smasher thing for cars, Stephen Avery style. And they got rid of it. And they said, yay, the water's better. But here's the problem. There were bodies under there. Who knows what else they dug up and tossed? It was very interesting to see that news report. So now what we're going to do is we are going to play for you some of this footage of John Pius or Pius, however you say it. And then we're going to play for you some of that Pine Barrens footage that I found. And I want to know what you think about it. And I'm actually going to go a little bit before it because I really like this guy's mustache. And I am obsessed, by the way, with New York news, how y'all's anchors talk to each other and the dynamic between them, like the relationship dynamic. These 2 women are my Tina Fey and Amy. Like, they are Tina and Amy as far as I'm concerned. There are others that are like, damn, they got beef. And I'm here for it. But these women are very funny. I really enjoy them. Sometimes they'll throw a little sass at the male anchors, and it makes me laugh a lot. All right? So here we go.
Of the alleged victims in the courtroom, and Geralamo Cusic, one of the victims who survived the injection. Deliberations continue today in the murder trial of former Good Samaritan hospital nurse Richard Angelo. Angelo is facing 4 counts of murder and 3 counts of assault for injecting patients with a muscle-paralyzing drug. The case went to the jury yesterday, and News 12's Doug Geed is in Riverhead now, where a verdict could come sometime today. Doug?
That's right, Lee and Roma. This is the first full day of the jury deliberations, and 2 different theories. Everybody playing the how long will it take guessing game. Some people say the deliberations will be quite lengthy purely because of the length of the trial. The trial was 2 months long. I believe we had something like 32 witnesses. There was a lot of very detailed, involved medical testimony dealing with pabulon and autopsies and cause of death and so forth. And because of that, the one theory goes the jury has so much to digest that they're going to deliberate for quite some time, maybe a week or so. On the other hand, the trial really boils down to one issue, and that's Angelo's state of mind. The defense attorney, Eric Nyberg, has conceded that Angelo injected patients and that, yep, some of those patients probably died as a direct result of these injections. But in order for it to be murder, what the jury has to find is, and I'm not quoting directly from the law, what the jury has to find is that Angelo was aware of a grave risk of death from what he was doing, and that he ignored that risk and injected these people anyway, and they died. That would constitute murder. What the defense is arguing is that because of a mental defect, Angelo never understood that grave risk of death, that he was a wizard. He was going to go in there and resuscitate all these people, and that when they died, well, he never put 2 and 2 together and refused to believe that they died as a result of what he did. Whether the jury buys it or not seems to be the key question. Only a few hours into their deliberations yesterday, the jury asked for a readback of the testimony involving the psychological reports that were conducted on Angelo. That's an indication right there that they're zeroing in right on that question, and that's the main thing in their minds right now. So again, it's the first full day of deliberations. Would not at all be surprised to see a verdict come in late today or tomorrow. But of course, jury deliberation is one of the hardest things to predict. That's it for now. Back to you, Roma and Lee.
All right, Doug, thanks very much. We have a question about the families. In your earlier reports, we have seen families of the alleged victims in the courtroom, and Geralamo Kusich, one of the victims who survived the injections, according to what police say. The families apparently may have a lot at stake as far as wrongful death suits. Have the families been standing by, along with the reporters, waiting for a verdict?
Actually, yesterday they weren't. The judge's instructions to the jury took most of the morning, something like 2.5 hours, a rather tedious affair, and actually no verdict was expected yesterday, so none of the families were there. They have been keeping in touch, though, and you mentioned the lawsuits. Good Samaritan Hospital is named in at least 2 lawsuits, I believe, and throughout most of the trial every day, the hospital attorney has been there taking notes. So you're right, the families have much more at stake than just personal involvement from a loss of a family member. That's right.
Doug, because we know that Angelo has confessed to actually injecting the patients, it seems almost certain he'll be found guilty of something. Those charges range from depraved indifference, manslaughter, to criminally negligent homicide. What are the possible penalties he faces?
Well, for murder, if it's the maximum, he would get 25 years to life. He'd have to face 25 years as a minimum. The minimum murder sentence would be 15 years to life, meaning he would have to spend at least 15 years in jail. You remember Matthew Solomon was convicted of murder. His sentence was 18 years to life. They sort of picked the middle ground, a little bit closer to the minimum. For manslaughter, I believe it's 5 to 15 years. For criminally negligent homicide, it's 1 1/3 to 4 years. Now, he's already served 2 years in jail. That is applicable to his sentence. So theoretically, if he's convicted on criminally negligent homicide, which is what his attorney's shooting for, theoretically, he could be let go with the time that he's already served. The maximum would be 4 years.
All right, Doug, thanks very much. And of course, News 12's Doug Geed will be standing by in Riverhead all day, and we'll have live coverage as soon as a verdict is reached. Meanwhile, a trial date has been set for Robert Gullib, the Valley Stream man accused of killing 13-year-old Kellyanne Tinyes in his family's home back in March. Gullib's trial is set to begin on January 2nd, but it's still not clear whether DNA evidence against him will be admissible. The pretrial hearings continue on.
Okay, one of the reasons I included it so early is because, A, that doctor that they were talking about injecting patients and whatnot, this was around the time of the apology line stuff with Richie. And what's odd is the Richie guy, if you listen to the apology line episodes, ended up being a guy who got caught for doing pretty much the same thing and killing not just patients, but gay men in New York City. And his name was Richard right around the time the apology line calls started for him. And I thought it was interesting that in that pursuit, they likely were able to catch the last person they were talking about. Isn't that wild? simultaneously. The reason I'm including Golub in here.
On Monday. And 2 months
Oh,
after
no,
admitting his
this
guilt
isn't the
in a
full one. So there was a full one on him. He is he was a guy who they were accusing of attacking a 13-year-old girl, right? And killing her. Now, what's interesting is there was another 13-year-old girl who was tied up, and then a woman tied up in her house around this time. And I can't help but think, and I'm going to go find that one, and I might have to find it and post it on the next episode and show you guys. There were a string of home invasions resulting in women and young teens being tied up and killed. Now, what was interesting about this is see how this says 89 and they're already talking about DNA. Now, back then, it was really hard to match DNA. It's not what it is now. There have been exonerations because of the shitty DNA done back then. But there were some things that led them to be able to tell who the person was based on matching the DNA, but not so much the genetic genealogy, having specific parts of DNA that match. So it's very interesting to see a case in 89 already talking about DNA when mitochondrial and genetic genealogy and that type of DNA became a bigger thing semi-recently. Well, the genetic genealogy pretty recently with CC Moore in the last decade, but the whole connecting someone and knowing mitochondrial or not and the different types of DNA, that shit started during OJ. Like that was the first case where it was brought to trial as, hey, look, we can synthesize it this way and we can figure it out without the root, things like that. You can see it progress over time. But as far as old news footage goes, 87 to 89 was pretty much when I started seeing more. And I mean, it could have been even earlier, but it's when I started seeing more of DNA being mentioned as a possibility for connecting people. That doesn't mean they didn't collect it. But it's just very interesting. Yeah, 86 was the first DNA case. That's total DNA. It's just, we're matching it or it was at the scene. But I'm talking about connecting it to someone via partials and based on specific characteristics. Genetic genealogy, tracking someone down through a database using relatives and then whittling your way down. That's like the last decade. So it's interesting to see how they're able to kind of step on different types of DNA as time goes on and figure out, can we connect it via this? Figuring out allele counts, figuring out, again, like, is this, they used to say mongoloid hair when they were talking about specific groups of people. And now they can narrow it down and say specific regions where that person's ancestors came from. It's very, very fascinating. Yes, how DNA evolved is some shit. It is wild. And the whole OJ trial, I think what got everyone hooked was the fact that they were talking about the DNA publicly. It was televised. There was a lot of science that they threw at the jury. They really rallied the jury there. They did not explain it well enough. I would say that the late 80s, it was more about what DNA was at the crime scene. This is exactly how we connected it because it matched or because it was here, and we did that based on XYZ. Now it's a situation of dissecting different people's DNA mixed together. That became a big thing, Is it, the hair root, or do we not need the hair root? Can we just tell if it's from a white guy, or can we tell if it's from a child? There's just so many different things. They used to think that, I remember reading a case about a person who thought that it was dog hair and it was a male pube. The Heidi Seaman case in the 90s had so many hairs on this one towel. And there was a huge argument about the person having to be of Native American descent. When we find out later that the specific lab, which was actually Dr. Garavellia's lab, and the guy who wrote the book on forensics, fucked it up royally. It's just fascinating to me. It's very, very fascinating to me. How do you have no sound? You guys are hearing sound. Everybody else hears sound. Check your settings. Hello, Erica. Hello, everybody. No, I did my laundry. I promise. The laundry's done. It's done. I did it. On the mic. You guys can hear me though, right? Okay, excellent. I had a white and pink Aquanet. Oh, you guys are talking about something totally different. Okay, we can only hope on the... Oh, where's on the mic? What did he say? What'd you say on the mic? What'd you say? Oh, shit. They will be processing farts. You know, very interesting you brought that up. In the Casey Anthony trial, not even fucking joking, Dr. Garavaglia, weird how you brought that up. She was one of the people who testified about the gas. The body expels gas over time. And remember, they were looking through the back trunk of the vehicle. And she had said, I threw my garbage away. She doesn't even have an accent. She threw her garbage away and she put the garbage in the back of her vehicle in the hot Florida sun. And that's why it smells like a dead body. And they said, let us can some of the gas fumes from inside. They called it gas, but they said, let us can the air fumes, if you will, the gas fumes from inside the trunk and see what particles there are in the air. And that was one of the reasons they were trying to say this is the particles in the wind of a dead body that had once been there. And it was a big argument, like, can you even do that? And Dr. G tried to explain it in an episode of her show. It was fascinating. And then experts came out and said, no, this can't be done. And then they said, well, where did you go to school? And they said community college. And everybody went, fuck you. Very fascinating stuff. Let's continue.
College sex scandal. Southampton Dr. Rodney Wood apparently committed suicide last night.
Dr. Wood was discovered dead at his house with a gunshot wound to the head. He was discovered by one of our patrol supervisors and a neighbor who had called because he's unable to have Dr. Wood come to the door.
In October, Wood and his wife Nancy pleaded guilty in an Oregon courtroom to paying a University of Oregon student to have sex with Mrs. Wood while the doctor videotaped that encounter. The Woods allegedly told the student they were doing sexual research. The 60-year-old Wood was suspended from his post at Southampton Hospital when it was learned he was under investigation. And a friend of Wood says the doctor had been depressed since the Oregon ruling and should have been under psychiatric supervision. A Suffolk County judge has dismissed a defendant in the 1979 murder case of 13-year-old John Pius. Peter Quartararo will not face a retrial. The judge says police methods used to obtain a confession from Quartararo were unconstitutional. Quartararo was 16 when he was accused, along with his brother and two others, of suffocating Pius by stuffing rocks down his throat. Two other defendants will be retried in January. And 5 people have been charged with the murder of an elderly Roosevelt man. Nassau police say 72-year-old Leroy Lovett was killed by his wife and 3 others. A 4th person was charged with criminal facilitation. Lovett was murdered at his home last month. And state police say they've cracked a 4-year-old murder case. A prime suspect, 39-year-old Mosley McPhee, is under arrest on the island of Grenada. Police say McPhee killed 24-year-old Roger Kemp of Brooklyn back in January of 1985. Kemp's body was found a month later alongside the LIE in Syosset. McPhee awaits extradition. And a report on erosion along the South Shore beaches will be recommended today to the Long Island Regional Planning Board. The state-ordered report says that if a barrier beach structure is more than 50% damaged,
Really loving seeing your background chatter to this.
Be torn down. The state or county would then buy the property. The plan affects more than 4,000 homes from Kismet on Fire Island to West Hampton Beach. The plan is modeled after a plan already in effect in North Carolina. Well, coming up, it might not officially be winter just yet, but Joe Chappie says it may be a winter wonderland around here this weekend. He's up next with a forecast. And believe it or not, it is T-minus 16 days before Christmas arrives, which means you have a little more than 2 weeks of shopping left.
Guys, did I miss the Pius thing? What the fuck just happened? Hold on, I gotta find something because I'm a little confused. Hold on. I did take the Hugin I grabbed him a toy, and I'm like, they couldn't have missed it that quick. Oh, coughing over. Shit, she popped back up and spooked me. Did I miss it? Hold on. Oh, they did say it? Okay. I want to play it one more time at that part because I want to show you one specific thing. Yeah. Gulp. Ah, yes, we did. We did. Oh, shit. It's wood? There it is. Okay. So Corderero, the reason I brought this up, Corderero was you know how she said it was 4 other people? It was him, his brother, and then 2 other kids. There was another, and that other kid was Jimmy Burke. He used to party with them. Those were his homies. He was the youngest of the group. Yeah, I paused it. He was the youngest of the group, and he was the one who turned on them. And notice how they said that guy would not get a retrial, Corderero, because it was a falsely obtained confession. One of the reasons that it was a falsely obtained confession was not only because he was 16 and they literally grabbed this guy and they're like, this is what this kid told us. That's all they had on him. They didn't have anything else. We have another guy whose girlfriend suddenly says, "Oh, he did it because he confessed to me. He told me he was scared he was going to get caught." She was also very close, even though she was older than, she was close to Jimmy Burke. And it was fascinating reading about all of it and wondering, what happened with this case? And then to see it on the news, and they're talking about back in the 70s. And look, it is 1989. Look at all the hell he got put through because of Burke and Spoda's bullshit. And the DA pressured the fuck out of that family. Oh, good night, Michelle. You going? Have a good one. Be safe. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because it was wild as fuck to me. And I was just like, this is crazy. Let's play it one more time. Not from the beginning, but let's keep playing it. Okay. So they stuffed rocks down this kid's throat. That, like, just think about that. Having a shitload of rocks put in your mouth. And then you're covered with stuff, and then you're beaten. Like, whoever did this to that kid tortured him. I've looked up all the various suspects, everyone in the police report since. The only person that actually has a history of brutally beating someone, brutalizing someone, or torturing anybody is Burke. Burke is the only one. All the others, even the ones who were considered guilty, no matter how long it was for, even if it later got dismissed or dismissed upon appeal, no matter what, all of them, the only criminal history involved in anybody in the Pius situation was Jimmy Burke. And we saw what he did to that kid who found his bag of dildos. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm fucking saying here. We saw what he did to that kid. And I find it very fascinating that in all the records of this, the dismissal, the failure to retry, barely mentioned at all, even in the official report. What's up on Judy records is the original trial information. what's up in almost basically you can go there's Pacer, there's all these different resources you can use to find this. New York has a fantastic record collection in general. It's beyond Library of Congress shit. You guys have a ton of records that are easily visible, public ones, even on cases involving juveniles, minors, and it names them. That's what's fascinating too. There's been, and I mean, I remember in my juvenile trial class, we were talking about how far that's come, you know, with how we treat kids in trial. We went from kids can be adults to kids are not adults, and now we're back to some kids are adults. That's basically the last 100 years. And it's just wild to me that these kids were not only, there was I mean, shit, I'd have to go into it. We'll do it one day, but I mean, Duty Ron did a great rundown of it. And so did the local journalist who did a rundown of it that he talks about in his video. I'll go figure out which one it is because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the description for you to go back and watch. It goes in order. It tells you everything that happened. It tells you about the internal investigation later into Burke after telling you about his history in the fucking 70s. But it's just so wild to me how people never really... This poor kid, I'm not saying he didn't get avenged or he didn't get justice, but it's so strange to me that the obvious person that never got thoroughly investigated or even considered was Spoda's little bitch boy, his little fuck boy. And I mean, Spoda was in jail. He still is, right? Or he's out now. I don't know. But he was in there. And it's just so fucking wild to me. It really looks like a grooming situation. And he groomed this kid to be an informant, then to be a cop, then to be the chief of police. I mean, shit. Technically, we could even say he was groomed for 30, 40 years. But the fact of the matter is he became an adult man and he made his own fucking decisions. I don't care what his home life was. What he did to people was awful in a position of public trust. Joe Jack alone has done some good. Okay, I'm going to go watch him. It's so shocking to me. I think it's odd that kids are charged as adults. I wonder if it is skewed more towards children of color. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say it's something like 60% end in a guilty verdict or so. It's an insane number. I can go find it in our statistics for that class. We actually have a shitload of them. They're very fascinating. And it's in all facets. It's not just all facets. It's not just the juvenile system. It's all systems. There is a minority specific difference. Like minorities are heavily targeted and they recognize it and they teach you that in curriculum that this is a problem. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Nerdy Cat. I need to check it. But thank you. And I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for drawing my puppy. He's going to be excited. Ooh, I wonder if he'll come up. Maybe I'll see if he'll come up in a minute. Yeah, it does. I mean, we really wouldn't have a revolving door prison system or a prison. We wouldn't have private prisons and the profiting off of the backs of minorities who are in there for some fuck shit is wild. It is insane. And the fact that it's extending to the children is even crazier. People like that have kids and it makes you wonder what traits. Yes. Oh my God. Scares the shit out of me, Mike. Can you imagine a little Burke running out there? Fuck. I mean, we already saw the fruits of that in these reports from the 70s and what Duty Ron was talking about. But like, they grow up to be shitheads like that. And it's crazy because, look, I'm just going to tell you this personally, but I know some kids from school who grew up to work in law enforcement who are great females and males, fantastic people. But I know a couple who were fucked up. I know a couple who are the type to do fucked up shit to cats. And you tell on them and it's like, oh, there's too many cats in the yard. Nobody does anything. They beat up other kids. They torture them. They're fucking horrible. They put gum in your hair on the butt. Just utter pieces of horse shit. Their parents are just as worse. Fucking deke bags. Yeah, dink bags. They're pieces of shit. And they grew up to be cops, and I am terrified of them. And they fucking suck. So it's just what I mean, and they were idiots. And it's like, how did you become a cop? There's one guy, you know how I talk about your Uncle Michael? There's one guy that Michael knows, he grew up with. And that kid was always a piece of shit. And his dad was a cop, I believe, and a piece of shit. And that kid became a cop. And I believe he convinced a homeless guy to eat a literal shit sandwich, if I remember correctly. I'll look it up and find it one day for you. It's a San Antonio News report. A cop did that to a homeless person. And that cop was always a prick. And he did that as a cop, and it was on the news. And he got a lot of shit for it. I hope he went to prison. I don't know what happened with that. It was crazy because Mike's like, oh my God, this guy was always a dickhead. Him and his fucking dad, they sucked. A lot of bullies end up becoming the bad cops we see today doing Burke shit. Yeah, I mean, any animal killer disturbed the person, Turtle Boy made a really good point. He really did. He said it's crazy because the local police that are looking into the turtle killer who hung that turtle on his parents' fence or whatever, the local police in his jurisdiction are busting their ass to figure out who killed that turtle. And he said it's crazy to him that these police are looking so deep for who killed that turtle, but the Canton police didn't do half as much to find out who killed John O'Keefe. Fantastic point. Yeah. I have no comments for the people that became cops that I grew up with. Generational bullies, bigots, wore blackface in school while wearing their football uniform. Yeah. It's fucking wild. Oh, Daddy's home. Hold on. Daddy's home. Daddy's home. Daddy's home. Other Daddy's home. All right, guys. I'm going to play you out. I got to go to bed. I love you. You're the best. Sorry, it's a Polish goodbye today. But I'm going to play you out with some more local news. Why not? I want you to watch it. And we're going to talk more about this concept. Not just of cop psychopaths, but of using news to learn more about cold cases. We'll continue this. I think we did a good one. We did almost 2 hours. You guys are the best. I love you. I did text Jay. Uncle, brother, sister, Aunt Jay is doing great. Struggling with the puppy. Well, she's not doing great. She's going through a horrific time in her life, but you know what I mean? She's doing the best she can. And she sends you guys love and she hears you. So I'm going to play you out on some of this. It's just going to fade out into this fantastic hair, this Aquanet hair. And I love you and thank you. And I miss you. And I'm going to put descriptions and links at the bottom so that you can check some more of this out later. Okay? Good night, kids.
Long Islanders, how's that shopping going? We went to the streets to get your answers. My name is Christine Pisani. I'm from Hop Hog, and I have not finished my shopping, but I got my most important gift, and that's my glasses.
My name is Ann McCann, and I'm from Flushing, and I barely started it.
Why?
Well, because it's Christmas, and that's what you do.
Drew from Deer Park, and I'm basically done with my Christmas shopping. I hope my loved one is too.
I'm Joseph West from West Islip, and shopping is great this year, having a lot of fun, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays from the Tri-County Flea Markets. Enjoy our winter wonderland while taking advantage of the best holiday shopping bargains on Long Island. Nowhere else will you find this wide selection of name brand merchandise all under one roof and at prices you can't afford to pass up, all with a 7-day money-back guarantee. And now you can shop till you drop during Tri-County's Marathon Holiday Shopping Spree. Most Tri-County Flea Markets will be open 7 days from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. till Christmas. Tri-County Flea Markets. Why shop anywhere else?
Last month, a new Bergman Mega Home Center in Westbury. Now, a new one in Bayshore. That's good for us. But what do the customers think?
It's just so big, it makes you feel good when you walk inside.
Everything imaginable I'm looking for is here.
It gives you, enthusiasm really to shop. I can't think of anything you don't have here.
Now get grand opening low prices at all Bergman Home Centers on Makita cordless screwdriver kits or variable speed cut saw kits.
They keep the prices low. I think it's gorgeous, beautiful, everything's here.
Once again, the customers are always right.
Would you believe that some kids don't get even one toy at Christmas? Well, it's true.
but the United States Marine Corps Reserve has been doing something about it.
You have a Toys for Tots program. They collect new toys from generous people like you. Then you see that these toys go to less fortunate kids.
Now you can help. Bring a new unwrapped toy to the special toy drop here at Roosevelt Field.
Or at Walt Whitman Mall before December 22nd.
This Christmas, let's all join the Marines.
A team of 3 consulting firms has been asked to prepare a report on the possibility of converting the Shoreham nuclear power plant to a gas-fired facility. The Long Island Power Authority unanimously agreed to give the firms the go-ahead at a meeting last night. California-based consulting and engineering firm heads the team, which also includes an energy group from Jackson, Michigan, which is supervising the gas conversion of a nuclear power plant in that state. Long Lake Energy of Melville will round out the team and provide the local expertise. The cost of the study, which is designed to find the best future use for Shoreham, is $150,000.
More than $50 million are being mishandled by the Nassau court system, at least that's according to the state comptroller. Edward Regan says a recent audit reveals big fiscal problems in Nassau's courts. The audit found more than $1 million in undeposited checks and money orders sitting in boxes and filing cabinets, and undeposited checks and traffic tickets dating back to 1980. And more than $60,000 were found not recorded in the cash records. Regan says checks were unaccounted for and check receipts could easily be used to steal money. But Regan says he's still not sure fraud is involved. He says the problem is serious, though.
The money, $15 million, is there. Should it have been 20? We don't know. It's so open for fraud, abuse. We couldn't even tell whether people have stolen or not, whether they lost it or not. It is the sloppiest system our people have